Yo, what's going on everyone, it's FreakyDude99 and today I got a fantastic Stasis Titan build for you. It's one that you can take into any piece of content and crush it with ease. This build excels in survivability and crowd control with near constant overshielding, damage resistance, and crystal creation. I've been taking it into Grandmaster Nightfalls and it's worked wonders. Icefall Mantle now makes Stasis Titan feel like it's a behemoth it's meant to be. Of course, at the end of the video there's a picture of the full build along with a dim link in the description for easy copying. Without further ado, let's hop into the build. Starting out with the super, we have Glacial Quake, which is just always fun to use. Best way to use it is spamming heavy attack at slightly different angles to stack as many stasis crystals on a boss at once. Then, just before the super ends, run through them all with a melee and watch the shards fly. Now next up we have our class ability, but it gets overwritten by our Icefall Mantle. It automatically sets the cooldown to the Towering Barricade's cooldown and turns it into Glacial Guard. Glacial Guard grants us a big overshield and 62.5% damage resistance for 20 seconds, plus we get a ×4 stasis weapon surge for 11 seconds, which is equal to a 25% damage buff. And it unleashes a 7-meter slowing field when you activate it. Glacial Guard is really strong and we want to ensure that it's always up so we can get that overshield and weapon surge whenever we need. One good note is you can deactivate the overshield without losing the weapon surge or damage resist. If need be, you can do this as the overshield limits your movement capabilities. Moving on, we have Shiver Strike, which acts more of a utility melee than it does for actual damage, because its damage output isn't that high in higher end content and it can leave you caught out in the middle of danger. It does, however, destroy stasis crystals instantly, knocks enemies back, and applies 50 slow stacks, so you can use it to save yourself or stun an overload champion if need be. Next up, we got Glacier Grenade, which creates a wall of 5 stasis crystals. They can be used to blow up enemies or provide yourself with some cover. Learning how to throw the grenades to best maximize its damage and utility, and freezing gets some taking used to, but once you get it down, it becomes so strong. Now these stasis crystals are also important because our first aspect is Tectonic Harvest, which creates stasis shards when we destroy these crystals. The shards themselves last for 20 seconds and can be small or large. Small shards give 10% melee energy and the large shards give 50% melee energy. For our second aspect we have Diamond Lance, which is a personal favorite. Any stasis damage that defeats an enemy will spawn a stasis lance that we can throw to freeze an enemy or melee to slam down, creating a freezing effect around us. These stasis lances have a 7-second cooldown before another can spawn, which means we can create them fairly consistently. A free freeze every 7 seconds is quite powerful once you get the hang of it. Now for our fragments, we start off with Whisper of Refraction, so enemies that are slowed or frozen and then defeated grant class ability energy based on their rank. This is so we can get our Glacial Guard back as much as possible. Then we have Whisper of Shards, which gives us massive amounts of grenade regen whenever we destroy a crystal, and since we make so many, it means we can throw glacial grenades all the time. Then we have Whisper of Chains, which grants us a 40% damage resist while within 10 meters of a frozen enemy or crystal, which is great for surviving in GMs, as again, we create a lot of crystals. Then we have Whisper of Rime, which makes stasis shards heal and grant overshield based on their size. This is a huge help in endgame content, as we're nearly always collecting stasis shards, so having this plus our Glacial Guard overshield ensures we always have ways to heal and survive. And then finally, Whisper of Conduction, which makes stasis shards within 50 meters track towards us. It's a huge help in endgame content, as if you didn't have this, you'd barely get any shards collected. And that'll do for the subclass. Onto the weapons. For our main weapon of choice, we have a couple options for the exotics. Wicked Implement is always a good pick in endgame content and will always be a good pick for me. Its range and stasis effects makes it perfect for any stasis build, and that includes for this one. It's got Unstoppable Scout this season, so it gets the overcharged buff, and it can also stun overloads because of its slowing effect. Plus, it has Headstone on it, which just makes it wonderful for triggering Whisper of Shards. Now for low to mid content, we also have Furglass Curve, which is an amazing weapon when in the right hands. It can constantly create stasis crystals and easier in some cases than Headstone weapons, as stacking up 5 crystals and then firing it out is basically a free glacial grenade with no cooldown. And then we have Tessellation, which is an amazing exotic fusion rifle, and fusion rifles are in this season with Unstoppable Fusion Rifle. It also intrinsically gives 20% grenade energy on takedowns, meaning you can get a lot of glacier grenades on the field in a quick amount of time just by using this weapon. And then for some of you, you have Salvation's Grip, which can be a ludicrous amounts of fun because you just spawn so many stasis crystals at once and then can detonate them to delete enemies in mere moments. Then for legendary weapons, I mainly use the Festival of the Lost Horror Story that comes with Demolitionist and Headstone if you can manage it to drop. You also have Raconteur, which can run Explosive Head or Headstone depending on preference. Then there's Riptide or Deliverance for some chill clip fusion rifle action. And then for heavy weapons, Recurrent Impact or Quillam's Terminus are great machine guns that can roll both Headstone. Stasis weapons are in a good spot right now, and with a build like this, you can pretty much use any stasis weapon you want and get away with it. Now for the artifact mods, we can actually take every single perk in first column. Anti-champion perks also give the weapon Overcharged, which is the 25% damage buff in activities with the Overcharged modifier. Then we go ahead and grab Origin Perk Specialization 1, so Season of the Witch, Season of the Deep, Lightfall, and Crota's End weapons all get the enhanced Origin trait effects. They can be pretty substantial, so it's good to have. We also pick up Origin Perk Specialization 2, which gives those same weapons the Overcharged buff. Then for fourth column, we go ahead and grab Overload Machine Guns for the Overcharged buff, Elemental Fury for 35% increased ability damage on stunned champions, and then Semi-Auto Striker for free armor charges while running a bow or scout rifle. And then for fifth column, we go ahead and grab Monochromatic Maestro for the 10% buff to Stasis ability and weapon damage when dealing damage with the opposite type, and then Rapid Fire Ranger, so we can apply a 15% weaken to enemies with rapid precision hits, perfect for any piece of content. That's it for the artifact perks, and on to the armor and mods. Starting with the helmet, we have Dynamo for bonus super energy when we use our Glacial Guard around enemies, Harmonic Siphon so we can spawn Orbs of Power with our stasis weapon takedowns, and then Font of Wisdom for a plus 30 in intellect while we have an armor charge. More supers is just better for us. For stat focusing, we want to go 100 resilience for the 30% damage resistance and the lower Glacial Guard cooldown. Then we go Discipline for the faster grenade regen, as the more crystals and shards the better. And then finally we take recovery up to 50 and then the rest into strength. Down to the gauntlets, we have Icefall Mantle, which we went through during the class ability portion. The exotic is just amazing since Season of Witches buffs. A ×4 stasis weapon surge is a 25% damage buff, which you can activate at any time, and it's just amazing. Plus, it refreshes its 11-second timer on every stasis weapon takedown, meaning you can keep it going for a long time in low to mid content. For the mods, we go ahead and grab Bolstering Detonation for 20% class ability energy on grenade damage, and then Impact Induction for 20% grenade energy on melee damage. And then we go Grenade Kickstart, which gives us grenade energy back on use, and more depending on how many armor charges we have. For our chest piece, we match whatever the activity's threat modifier is, so for arc threat, we go ahead and grab Double Arc Resistance for a 25% damage resist, and then we get a 15% damage resist from our third mod choice. It can be any resist mod, just choose one. Down to the boots, we get Elemental Charge, so collecting stasis shards eventually grants an armor charge, and then Harmonic Holster, so we never have to worry about reloading our weapons. And then finally, Recuperation, so we get health back on Orb of Power pickup. And then for a mark, we go ahead and grab Bomber for 12.5% grenade energy on class ability use, and then double Font of Restoration for a plus 50 in recovery while we have an armor charge. This is because we didn't want to go above 50 for our recovery, as we would have wasted stats. And that does it for the build. This is truly a tank of a build, as you can go around and take anything that enemies have to throw at you. With the constant overshielding and damage resistances stacking on top of each other, nothing can take you down unless you are really playing wild. You can spam Glacier Grenades and activate your Glacial Guard when going into any fight, and watch the shards fly as you just melt through everything. Of course, if you need a picture of the build, there's one on screen now, plus there's a dim link in the description for easy referencing. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, as I see many of you are returning viewers but not subs quite yet. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I've been FreakyDude99. Peace out everyone.